Wasim Nasser, our terrorism expert there, and let's get some more analysis then on the implications of this strike. I'm very pleased to be joined now by Sanam Vakil. She's the director of the Middle East and North Africa programme at Chatham House in London. She joins us this afternoon from there. Good to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I wonder if you could just pick up a little bit on what Wasim was saying there and your view then on Iran's potential involvement in that strike in Jordan.
Well, certainly, as Wasim said, the situation is indeed fluid and vulnerable. Iran is involved. There's no doubt. Whether Iran pressed the button or called on the groups to invoke the strike and make the hit, we don't know. But Iran has played a very key role over decades now in bringing these groups together, promoting these groups, training and equipping these groups. And so thereby, Iran has a role to play and a responsibility. Yet every time we get close to the brink, and it's very clear that the Biden administration is going to respond, Iran plays the plausible deniability card and says that there's no direct involvement. Iran doesn't seek direct escalation, and that these groups have agency. And you can't quite have it both ways.
And Joe Biden has been very clear then that there will be an American response to this. It's a question then of where and when. What's your sense as to what we'll see?
Well, of course, the range of targets is quite broad. The United States is in a situation where it does, for domestic purposes, but also to reassure its partners across the region, it does need to respond. And it's made it clear for quite a long time that one of its red lines is the loss of American life. So the range of targets on display, certainly those in Iraq and Syria, and there will be effort at curtailing the operational capacity of these groups. The question is, will the Biden administration also try to target Iranian infrastructure outside of Iran, or even try to target senior IRGC or Quds Force commanders in the region? There's also an avenue where the Biden administration can reinforce sanctions oversight or interdict oil shipments. So there's a panoply of options on the table. The problem here is that the administration needs to respond, but also at the same time prevent a broader regional war. And so the public messaging from Iran is very important to build perhaps diplomatic back channels and bring down the temperature, as well as contain a conflict from escalating.
Indeed. And I wonder if we could talk a bit more about these US bases, particularly obviously this one in Jordan that was hit over the weekend, because I think viewers may be quite surprised that there are a good number of American bases in the Middle East. The US has troops not just in Jordan, also in Iraq, in the north of Syria, in Bahrain as well. Can you just sort of spell out for us what's the point of these bases? Why do the Americans have so many troops in the Middle East? Because it seems that it's drawing quite a lot of unwanted attention for the US.
Well, I'm not sure why viewers would be surprised. The U.S. has had a forced presence in the Middle East for a number of decades now. In fact, the U.S. has been drawing down its bases and its military commitments across the Middle East. But if we just sort of look back 20 years ago, the U.S. led an invasion into Afghanistan and into Iraq, where it overthrew Saddam Hussein's government. And even before that, it had set up sort of bases and operations across the Gulf, going back to the 1990 Gulf War, where Iraq invaded Kuwait. So America's presence in the Middle East effectively has been to protect U.S. interests, but also to support and protect its partners across the region. Groups, non-state actors that are supported by Iran are pushing back against the U.S. presence in the Middle East, see the U.S. as a destabilizing military force. But if you perhaps talk to American partners in the region, be it the Jordanians, the Israelis, and many of the states in the Gulf, They are not looking to see the U.S. withdraw or reduce its military commitments. They actually see the U.S. presence as important in providing deterrence and protecting their interests, as well as protecting navigation of the seas that have been very much compromised by the Houthi attacks on the Red Sea right now, for example.
Indeed, and there's lots more about that I'd like to ask you, but unfortunately we are out of time. Sanam Vakil from Chatham House in London. Thank you.
Thank you.